if someone is violent, if someone kills someone, if someone does a horrendous, hideous act, then immediately we're of course shocked. We don't accept it. We renounce it ethically. These are the reactions we have, and then we start to wonder what are the causes. And then of course we search for causes according to the patterns, the explanations we have which are around in a particular culture. And one explanation is of course the developmental or the family myth. They will say, well, of course something must be wrong with the family, something very awful must be there, because the act as such, or the personality, the one who doesn't give us any clues how this could have happened. And then we start searching in the families, and then we start thinking this must be, something very shadowy. My experience is that this is actually a way of avoiding the key question, because the families of these adolescents, juveniles who have been aggressors, are often very normal, very regular, and often have difficulties, problems, they be a bit neurotic, but they don't have a distinct profile, psychopathological profile, where one could say, well, these family are the cause, they're really different. So actually it's just quoting the family myth in order to avoid actually the question why someone is aggressive. Smoking can also become mythologized, and that is actually what is happening. And when I visit the United States, and there's many Europeans who react that way, they think, now what is this health myth which is so dominating the United States, which thinks this is the only path, we have to dictate people to lead a healthy, sane way. And this is something which a very, very one-sided myth, because of course one has to be healthy, but also there's the abysmal side, the shadowy side, which we have to allow inside of ourselves, which we have to allow to appear in society, which we have to look at. But if we dictate and say we have to be all healthy, this is actually psychologically dangerous. The abysmal side also has to be included. And there are also statistics now that juveniles in Europe and the United States start to smoke more. It increases actually the reaction. It's very counter-effective, because it becomes a lot more attractive. It's actually the shadow which one wants to investigate, wants to go into there. So this is, for me, one example of a one-sided interpretation of the myth, which is of the health myth, the myth of health, the sane body, of not letting the sins or not letting the abysmal sides touch your soul somehow, to be, to be completely sane personality. This is a very one-sided, dangerous myth. I think the other side has to be also respected.
The fairy tale speaks in symbols, images and dramatic developments in a way the psyche likes. The psyche likes to express itself in images, and it is the language of the psyche. And naturally depth psychology speaks about the same, but it has a horrid language. And I mean, terminology is in a way horrid. Defense mechanism, resistance, penis envy, animus, my God, persona. It is not. We have to fill this terminology. I mean, Jung had a genius terminology. I think it's wonderful terminology, but we have to fill it with our own experience.
Jung once said,
"The word belief is a difficult thing for me. I don't believe. I must have a reason for a certain hypothesis. Either I know a thing and then I know it. I don't need to believe it."
As an analyst, and as a Jungian analyst especially, and as a person who believes in the need of spirituality, I feel there is a sense of responsibility that we have, and the Jungian concept about individuation points out that it is not only about a relationship to our subjectivity, not only about reaching inwards, but reaching out. So I do believe that we all have a responsibility to share in the world's making and to get involved, not only reflection on our inner state, but action and using our hands to help the world make a better place to live in. I think even in science, in physics, there has been tremendous development towards a new paradigm, towards more holistic values.
The Jungian sensibility insists that what reality is depends in large part upon its perceiver. Scientific objectivity is an 18th century cultural myth which is still with us. Magnificent as are some scientific discoveries, the modern concern is not first what is out there, but what is in here? Who am I, anyway? For Blanche Gaiella and many others of her village, it happens through taking part in the Welt Theater event.
World Theater, I should say about the place where we are playing. It's Einsiedel. It's a very old place. It's a place where since years ago people are coming and are seeking God, are praying here, are seeking their own way. And the place, but even the piece, because it's a very old piece from Calderon, from the Baroque time, and the questions are so old, are the same questions as men are just looking for answers. Where am I, and does there exist anything else about or transcending what we are just taking in our hands or feeling? Is there anything else over there? And I think all these questions are important, and the people who are playing right now in this piece know that and are seeking. They would like to have an answer, even if during the year, during their lives, they don't do it explicit.
It becomes clear that apart from specific religious beliefs and creeds, there is something that appears even in secular life, something that might be regarded as a religious attitude.
Although I have also developed in the course of time my critical standpoints and my maybe visions which are somewhat different from Jung. Jungian psychology, I think, has this religious attitude, namely that we should also, as psychologists or psychotherapists, listen to the person, to what this person, this unique person somehow, how this person experiences life, what causes hopes or anxieties, and so listen then of course also to dreams and so, but also then to listen really to the outer circumstances and not just knowing right from the beginning what has to be the goal, what have to be the results of therapy or analysis, but somehow to start and to be open also to where it leads and to listen carefully. And in this way I think it has to do just this Jungian approach with a religious attitude. And I'm very much against creeds and dogmatic positions. I also fight such dogmatic positions within the Jungian family. And for me, it's not unfortunate that such divisions exist. For me, I regret it and I find it unfortunate if such divisions somehow become a danger really to tear apart, let's say, institute or the whole, let's say, Jungian community, if I may say so, here in Switzerland or here in the Zurich area.
Some of you might have heard that very critical things are going on at the Institute in Zurich at the present time. And one of the arguments is about, is the Institute losing this understanding or this rootedness in the contemplative tradition in order to be part of the modern trend of effectiveness and science and credentials and being accepted as one of the main psychological theories that deserve third-party payment and all of this. And again, I think the issue is not the either-or. I find it very important that analytical psychology can be used by people who cannot pay for their analysis, so that insurance companies should be able to pay for this. And this means that we have to prove that this is a valid approach, that we heal. But it is not either this or that. It is holistic. We have to transcend this and keep in mind and hold the tension between a more contemplative approach and a modern world who asks for instant cure. But holding the tension is one of the major concepts. Living with the opposites, with the tension of opposites.
Jungians are not unrealistic about the difficulties we experience when attempting to integrate opposites. Adversarial positions arise within the Institute itself. They arise between the matriarchal approach and the patriarchal approach in any given society. And they also arise in the sexual opposites within each person. A fully integrated person, perhaps a fiction at best, would be free, autonomous. Yet true autonomy is not easily attained by anyone. Autonomy, the attempt to be a freestanding individual, seems to be the goal of the Jungian approach. To be a freestanding individual who is at the same time fully involved with others, with the culture, and with the earth. Can this be enough to give meaning to an individual's life? The archetype of meaning, one of the major archetypes in analytical psychology, is an attempt to answer the unanswerable. Jung regarded the question of meaning as a paradox.
The archetype of meaning, which is one of the major archetypes in analytical psychology, the myth of meaning, as an attempt to answer the unanswerable, Jung referred to this myth as a paradox.
For delegates to the Einsiedeln conference, the will to accept, if not to solve the paradox, is what it's all about. They seek the numinous, an experience of spiritual relationship. Ursula Wirtz reads from Jung's work.
The main interest of my work is not connected with the treatment of neurosis, but rather with the approach to the numinous. But the fact is that the approach to the numinous is the real therapy. And in as much as you attain to the numinous experiences, you are released from the curse of pathology. Now, with this comment, I find Jung has been very courageous and very visionary.
The mind is, at its core, a primordial cavern, and a sacred stream of meaning runs timelessly through it. Analytical psychology willfully enters this dark place, compelled by the often thwarted need to comprehend the undercurrents of spirituality. The Einsiedeln conference delegates enter this space place their hands in this water with the hope that they might be cleansed and renewed, if not transformed.